You want your boss to like you, to respect you, and most importantly, to take you seriously, but they won't if you say any of these 7 things. There's a problem you need to deal with. Yes, there is, because when you bring your boss problems, you become the problem. Good leaders are effective at removing obstacles, or at least giving you advice on how you can deal with problems on your own. But not all managers are good managers, and not all bosses know the answers. Or they might be dealing with bigger problems, and the last thing they need is another problem. So how are you supposed to get anything fixed around here? Ideally, and whenever you have the ability, if you can solve the problem, fix it yourself and let them know about it. This is going to demonstrate to your boss that you're a proactive problem solver, which is a leadership quality. Whether or not they have it is another story. This worked famously for me in my corporate days, with one instance in particular. I was in client training and a lot of my clients were asking for coding training that our company just didn't offer. And after about the 7th time that I was asked for it, I was like, well, why don't I just create it? I didn't go to my boss to complain about the fact that it didn't exist. I didn't even go to my boss for permission to create it. I just started developing it, and when I needed additional assistance, I went to them to tell them exactly what I was doing, what the impact was going to be, and my boss connected me with exactly what I needed to launch the training successfully. And that training solution ended up being a massive reputation builder for me at the company and helped me advance my career. That said, you can't fix everything. You can't solve all of the problems that are out there. You're one person after all. And maybe you're going to your boss because you need their guidance, or it's something that they need to take control over. In instances like that, what I suggest you do is bring your boss a solution along with the problem. At least throw one idea out there. Maybe your idea isn't going to solve the problem, and it's not the one that they're going to implement to try to solve the problem, but it demonstrates that you're forward looking and you're not just adding to the list of work they have to do. But what about the instances when you caused the problem? I'm so sorry, that mistake was all my fault. Not so fast, career bestie. Success is not solitary, but in failure, you might find yourself friendless. When you're willing to take the blame when things go wrong, others will be eager to add to it. You thought you were being accountable, but instead you made yourself Nick's scapegoat, and he's gonna blame all of the problems on you. Owning up to your mistakes might even make your boss aware of the fact that you made the mistake in the first place. This happened with Emily. Emily saw Chad strolling in late every single day, and it seemed to be no big deal. One day she was running late, and she texted her boss to let them know and apologized for her tardiness. She arrived and got in trouble from her boss. Because what Emily didn't know is that Chad wasn't getting away with being late because the boss didn't care about it. Chad was getting away with being late because the boss didn't know about it. So what could Emily have done differently? Well, she could have just not said anything about it. If no one's trying to place blame, why take it? I know a lot of you are like me with high accountability. I will willingly tell you about all the ways I've messed up, but we need to differentiate accountability from blame. Internally, you can be accountable AF. In my opinion, this is necessary for your personal and professional growth. Knowing what you did wrong and what you're going to do differently in the future is how you evolve. But externally, ask what's the bigger picture, because I can assure you in your failures, you're not actually friendless. This isn't to say that you make excuses, but let's take a look at the real issue. For example, let's say there was a communication mishap and you were given a project timeline that was incorrect and gave it over to a client, and that caused a big problem. What you can do is shift the focus to the real problem of the communication mishap. And this brings me to the third thing you should never tell your boss. I need to make more, I got bills to pay. This is a mistake I see all the time, whether it's rent, debt, or you're saving up to buy a Birkin. Citing your financial reasons or motivations in a salary negotiation, pay raise, anything like that is a big no-no. Your boss is not making business decisions based on your financial situation. At best, this information is not going to be relevant. At worst, disclosing your financial issues is going to cause damage to your professional reputation. It can make them think that you're immature or irresponsible and that would somehow leak over into work, just like how it would with your coworkers. So what do you do when you need to make more to cover your bills? Because that's a legit thing. Instead of citing your student loans or your rent to why you need to make more money, do your market research. Know what a competitive salary is in your market. Figure out where you should lie in the range and build a business case for it. That means bring the receipts about all of the impact that you've had that has driven revenue, decreased costs, or ideally both. And no matter what, under no circumstance do you say this next thing to your boss. A recruiter reached out to me and I'd make $20,000 or more elsewhere. This only works under one situation. You are recognized as top talent that your boss cannot lose. We're talking they have a bonus and incentive structure to keep you on staff. If that's the case, you have the leverage to do this. If not, what you're telling your boss is you have one foot out the door. Your boss will deem you as a flight risk. With the growing number of layoffs in a recession, do you want your boss to see you as the one who doesn't even want this job? Maybe if you're independently wealthy or you live in the comfort of your parents' basement, it's no big deal. But for most people, that paycheck is important. That said, the leverage of being a flight risk can actually be tremendously helpful in helping you get paid more and have more career opportunities. But you should never say it. What you're going to do instead is build your reputation to become the person that they cannot lose. The person that is so good that they know, without you ever saying it, that recruiters are all up in your DMs. So they have to pay you well, support your career growth, and keep you happy. And if you don't know how to do that, it's not as complicated as it sounds. In fact, it's one of the things that we dive into in my book, Career Glow Up. This is a must-have career success guide. Seriously, you need it in your life. Go to careerglowupbook.com to find out where you can get a copy. Let's talk about the fifth thing that you should never tell your boss. That's not my job. This is a viral career advice that self-anointed career success coaches say all the time that makes me want to scream because it is sabotaging your career. The problem isn't with setting boundaries. For instance, you should not have your plate full of tasks that are 2 levels below you, unless you're at a startup, in which case all bets are off. But increasingly, the way to get promoted is to be operating at the next level. This has been completely normalized in the tech industry as a way to mitigate the Peter principle. We don't need people rising to the levels of their incompetence, so they're getting promoted based on their actual demonstrated competence. Instead of saying, no, this isn't my job description, take a look at the task that's being handed to you. Say yes to the work that is above your pay grade, especially when it is going to make a strategic and unignorable impact. These are tasks that are going to elevate your visibility to leaders who have the ability to promote you and establish your skills and competencies at that next level to build the business case for your promotion. This will allow you to uplevel your job title and your paycheck at your current company. But if it goes on without those things being adjusted, you can use the experience that you gain to market yourself into that promotion at a new company. Now, this next thing that you should never tell your boss is a real doozy. And if you only take me on one of them, it is going to be this one. You're wrong. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been wrong and had it pointed out to you by someone else? How did it feel? Probably not very good. It's likely that you felt embarrassed, defeated, or even defensive. More importantly, how did you feel about the person who told you you were wrong? You probably didn't like them very much. Well, if you tell your boss that they're wrong about something, they're not gonna like you very much either. So what do you do when you don't want to execute on a bad idea that is going to waste your time, your team's resources, and your energy? In cases like this, I suggest using an improv tactic of yes and. In improv, you're not allowed to say no to an idea. It's gonna make the whole thing fall apart. So you have to accept whatever is put out there by the people that you're on stage with. But you can elaborate and change the story. So when your boss puts out a ho-hum idea, accept it. That's a good idea. And insert your suggestion that's going to work better here. Whenever possible, we want to help people save face, especially if they're wrong publicly. But also, people are more excited about ideas and will brag more about ideas that they think are theirs. Which brings us to the 7th thing that you should never tell your boss. Rachel has been causing a lot of drama. Well, now you're the one causing drama. It would be great if you could go to your boss and they could help you navigate working with difficult coworkers and any issues that you have. Or if they could solve the problem. The thing is, most managers don't really know how. They didn't get to their jobs because they were so great at people management. And most managers never learn how to effectively manage people. And if you didn't notice, humans are pretty complicated. When you bring an issue with a coworker to your boss, you might be overwhelming them with something that they don't have the capability to help with, or that they might not be able to effectively solve. What good is your boss telling Rachel to stop being mean gonna do? You think she's gonna listen? Instead of bringing coworker drama to your boss, there's a couple of things that you can do instead. First of all, don't bring your boss people problems. Bring them business problems. We suggested solutions, which we talked about earlier in this video. Frame it as a concern versus a problem. Ultimately, successful professionals learn how to deal with difficult coworkers on their own and become masters of workplace politics. It's easier than you think it is. In fact, go watch this video to get started.